Service: How to Live for Free by sharing Earth's resources, voluntarily implementing creative exchange. This is step 3. Identify your friends. Who are those that you know, like, and trust? These will be the people that help you live in a moneyless society, live without having to pay for what you need, and live for absolutely free. Identify your friends. And if you are watching, we want you to get something to take notes so that you can remember, or simply replay the video, because we want you to live for absolutely free. Hi, I'm Naima Latif, and this is Service. And what we're giving you an opportunity to do is create. One of the things that make service a possible way of life is because this was the way of life before money. People simply shared. They simply provided for the needs of their friends and family, and everyone had what they needed because everyone simply shared. It's a way of life, a way of thinking. But today we need a systematic way to perform service because we have been indoctrinated into the idea that there is a cost for living, and there is no cost to live. The earth has given us everything we need for absolutely free. So, why are we believing that we must pay to live? Well, there is a history to that, but certainly before the history of creating what we now know as money, there was simply service where you shared what you had with your friends and family. So today we want to show you basically how to create that network of people that will empower you to live for absolutely free. Now, why are we doing that already? Why is it that people are not simply sharing? Well, it comes from a mindset of lack, a belief that there isn't enough. And that belief is incorrect. As we said in step 1, if you live in a mansion, but you only operate out of one room in that mansion, you and your spouse and your 3 children, you choose to live in a closet, well, then you're going to get the impression that there's not enough space. You're going to be irritated to each other, and you're going to have fights. You're going to not be able to get along because you're cramped. Well, we're doing this voluntarily in the cities that we've created because we feel like it's more convenient. You can interact with people and get what you need, and all that makes sense. But when things get overcrowded, why are we not able to just spread out? And someone came up with the notion, well, there's not enough space, there's too many people. And so we've been living under that illusion, but that's incorrect. So, how much space is there really on the earth? Well, let's take a look at the space that Earth actually takes up so that we can have a more realistic understanding of the space we actually have available. There are 36 billion acres of land on Earth. How many acres of land? How many acres? 36 billion. Earth is mostly covered by water. In fact, it makes up 71% of the surface of the planet. In total, there are about 57 million square miles of land on the planet, which amounts to 36 billion acres. Now, what does that actually mean? Well, how much space is there? How much space are people taking up? Well, how many people live on planet Earth in this year, 2024? The projected world population on January 1st, 2024 is 8,000. Oh, no. 8 billion. 8 billion 19,876,189. That's an increase of the of 76,162,541 people from New Year's Day in 2023. So during January 2024, 4.3 births and 2.0 deaths are expected worldwide every second. So there are actually more people being born than people are passing out of this physical existence. The Census Bureau's population clock displays simulated real-time growth of the US and world populations. So as of January 3rd, 2024, what we have is 8 billion 19,876,189 people. Now that's a lot. That is a lot of people. So the idea that there's not enough space is something that we're constantly being told. There's not enough space. There are too many people. Some people have to stop having babies. And we're believing that. And we're believing there's not enough, so you have to compete. That's where this present mindset came from. And it's incorrect. It's a delusion. It's false. Now think about it. If you divide 8 billion, 19,876,189 people into 36 billion acres of land, which it's 43,560 square feet per acre, you'll find out how much space per person is available on Earth. Now, of course, if you've got a high-powered calculator, you can figure that number out. But that is how you would go about discovering what is the actual amount of space that is available for each person. Now, the idea that there's too many people for the amount of land is what we've heard all our lives. And yet, The reality is 8,19,876,189 people divided into 36 billion acres of land. Of course, again, 43,560 square feet per acre is roughly 4.4 acres or 191,664 square feet per person. Think about it. 191,664 square feet per person. That is how much space you have. If everybody had their own space to live, that is how much you would have, not you and your family, just yourself, each individual. So now think about it. Couldn't you live on 4.4 acres, 191,664 square feet of land? Do you think? I think so. So the idea that there's not enough space is false. Now, we want you to roll your mind around that for a minute, because the first thing we asked you to do in the beginning was to change your mind. And the first thing that has to change is the incorrect notion that there's not enough, that there's not enough space, that there's not enough land, that there's not enough food, there's not enough water. There is enough. There's enough for everybody to have what they need. And once you change your mind about that, and once you realize that there is, in fact, enough for everybody, then you'll realize all the systems that we have based on competition and withholding are unnecessary because there is enough. So the next thing we asked you to do was to recognize your wealth. Look at all the things you actually are hoarding, holding on to because you think, well, I'm going to need this, or, I might not be able to get this again, or just think if something happens and I can't get more of this. So we're holding on to a lot, and we actually have more than we realize. So we've asked you to list all of those things that you actually are having in your possession that you're not using. Now, the next step is to identify your friends. And this is an important step in this system called service, because these are the people that you're going to interact with. And once you identify who they are, then you'll be able to start the process that makes it possible for you to live in a moneyless society. So once again, we're introducing you to the system that is presented on this platform called service. Sharing Earth's resources, voluntarily implementing creative exchange. And we'll explain to you why it's important for you to be able to identify your friends. Because this is the step that is required. What you will do first and foremost in becoming a part of service is to first create what's known as a service profile. That is what you'll need to begin to create like an account. Because what you'll have is something that all of your friends that you identify will have. And that is a service account, which makes it possible for you to then trade. So it's a very simple thing that if you are able to identify your name, your phone number, and your email address, that's all you need that identifies you uniquely. So all you need is a cell phone. And this is why this is such a simple system, because everybody, if they're functioning at all, they have a cell phone. And if they've got a cell phone, they have a means to send and receive information. So if you have those things, you can in fact set up your service account. And so that's your next step, is to create your service account. And again, it's something that costs you absolutely nothing. And so you start out paying absolutely nothing to be a part of a system that will free you and prepare you to be able to free your friends. So you're going to go to the serviceonline.org and go to my service profile and put in your first name, last name, email, and phone number. And that list that you created, we asked you to list all those things that you do. You're going to put that list right there. And you're going to place your photograph in that spot. And that identifies you, because we'll show you how your friends and family, or maybe not family, but certainly those you know, like, and trust, they may be your family, or they may be people that you simply interact with on a regular basis as part of your organization, your community group, your perhaps sorority or fraternity. Because the second thing you're going to create is your service group. And these will be each people who also have their first and last name, email, and phone number. Those people who will then create their service account and add their photograph. And this will be the group that you interact with. Now, what we want to do first and foremost is to identify the kind of people that you need to designate as your service group, because these are people who also will do the same things. Now, that list we set of all of your possessions, we want you to then list all of your possessions. And that list that we told you, we want you to input all of your possessions, and those in your service group will do the same so that everybody in your group knows what everybody has and what everybody does, and you'll be able to observe exactly what is available, because these are the people who will circulate using the system, the point system that we described, where all of your wealth has been calculated. Everything that you own, calculate its worth in dollars and translate that to points. 1 point equals $1. $1 equals 1 point. And then all of your work that you do. You're actually valuing your time at $1 per minute. So for each task you do, it's worth $1 per minute, which translates into $60 per hour. Now, you may have people who do other things and maybe they get paid less than that, or maybe they get paid more than that. But for the sake of equalizing everybody so that there is no class difference, there is no concept of class, everybody has the same value as a human being. And so this is how we create a system of equality. Now, you get to choose how valuable your things are and what the point value is in terms of dollars. And that's totally your decision. But your time, everybody's time is worth the same. Everybody is the same in terms of their value as a human being. So we remove that idea that some people's time is more important than others. That's part of the changing of the mind. So it's necessary that you identify those people that you're going to be interacting with, because you will need to have people who have a certain attitude. So, as we have you identify your friends, we want you to think about people that you know, like, and trust. First and foremost, the attitude they need to have is that they desire your well being, they want what's best for you. That's an important trait because this system is based on desiring the well being of others. It's not based on the class system or the selfishness of the current monetary system, in which some people have more than others and therefore they withhold things from others because they want to feel better than others. So, in order to be a part of service, you really need to have a desire for the well being of others. And that means think about those friends that you have. And are they people who will be encouraging of you? Are they people who, when you give them good news, they're happy for you? So they need to desire your well being. That's an important point for the people that you choose as part of your service group. One, they need to desire your well being. And that means that's someone who would do a favor for you if they could when you need it because they care about you. This can't be the friend that will use you for what they need, but when you ask them for something, they don't have it. They'll borrow money from you when they're in need, but when it comes to you, they never have it. That friend that will always remind you of what they have that's better than what you have, and they like feeling superior to you. That's not the kind of person you want. You want someone that desires your well being. And you can just review the friends that you have. And all of us have friends that have various traits, but they can't be someone who's jealous of you, resentful of you, wanting to outdo you. They need to desire your well being. The next thing that this person that you select needs to have as a trait is they must be honest, because this is requiring a level of honesty and trust. It's a very transparent system. And if they are not honest, then you're going to have arguments. They must be honest in terms of fairly pricing the things that they are listing as part of their own wealth. If they have a pair of shoes and they're thinking, well, I should get $150 for these shoes, and you know the shoes are only worth maybe $10 and they're scuffed. But when it comes to when you get ready to determine the value of something and they're not honest, it's going to be difficult for you to be able to determine how many points what they're offering is actually worth. So, honesty is important. And it's one thing to have sentimental value, but it's another thing to be honest and not being trying to figure out how you can beat someone out of something, because that's the current monetary system. That's the reason why there is so much distrust. And often friends find it hard to do business with each other because business has gotten the reputation of being about beating somebody out of something. And third of all, the person that you want to include in your service group needs to be someone who is willing to try new things. They must be willing to try new things. Because if they are somebody that is telling you that this can't work, I don't believe people will do this, I don't think this is a good idea. That's someone who's going to constantly create problems. Even as you try to work the system, they will keep throwing monkey wrenches into it because they're skeptical. They have to be willing because this is a system that can, in fact, help us as a society make that transition back to where we just simply cooperate. As we mentioned in the first installment, the way the bees do. You look at a hive of bees, nobody's charging anybody any money, nobody's punching a clock. People just give, and everybody circulates the responsibility, whether it's pollinating the flowers, making the honey, everybody is involved in the beehive, and everybody's needs are met. There is no upper class and middle class and lower class. They're just, this is your job, you do this, is your job, you do that, and all of us do a job that helps the collective body. So we need to have a transition back to that stage. And this is that transition. But it takes someone who has the ability to envision something different and be willing to try it out and work it so that they actually see it manifesting in a greater abundance for themselves. You don't have to worry about, well, the rest of the people won't do this, the rest of the people won't do that. We want you to identify 5 people. 5 people. Start out with 5. 5 people that you know, like, and trust that can meet these qualifications. Because when you choose your service group, you're going to create a profound relationship based on how much you are able to value each other enough to circulate what you have with each other and never spend any money. Now, in instances where there may have to be some monetary systems involved other than service, we'll get to that a little later. First, we want to get you familiar with the very foundation of it, which is trust. And if you are an honest person, you can trust people and people can trust you. Trust you to be fair about what you are putting forth as your wealth and its real value, and trust you to value their time as much as your time. You might be a hairdresser and you might be providing work for someone in your service group that is taking maybe an hour, maybe an hour and a half. That's 90 service points that you can then trade with another member of the group. And that member of the group might have maybe an article of clothing. And you've got 190 service points that you received from the person whose hair you did. And maybe someone in your service group has a coat that you would like. Now, they could price it fairly. And maybe that coat is something maybe they say is worth 50. Okay, so then you're transferring 50 of your 109 of your 90, I'm sorry, of your 90 service points to your friend in your service group. And that leaves you with 40 service points. So if you are willing to honor the service points received from members of your group, it can work very well. And maybe with your other 40 service points, maybe you have another person in the group that perhaps this person bakes goods and they have a cake and they say, well, my cakes sell for $15. So that would be 15 service points. And you take your 40 remaining points and you are able to get that cake. And your friend has now enriched you even further. So what you're able to do is get your hair done, get a cake, and your friends are honoring each other's gifts, talents, skills, and possessions, priced according to how you have priced your things. But if you then want to trade your remaining points, you subtracted 15 from the 40 and you've got 25 left. And maybe you can trade with someone who says, well, look, I've got a pair of shoes that goes with that coat. And it's worth 25 points. And so you get ready to trade those points. And then perhaps they say, well, I changed my mind. I think I want it to be 50 points instead. Well, okay, you can do that. But whatever you say it is, let it be that. Because people are depending on you to be honest and to follow the guidelines that make this a system that can work. So if everybody is interacting and honoring the point system, then everybody can interact. And maybe your friend with the shoes say, well, I have a service that I provide. I can do taxes at $150 an hour. Well, if they want to be in your service group, then their time is worth the same as everybody else's. So again, it can't be, well, okay, I'm signing up, but then I don't want to go according to $60 an hour because my time is worth more. Well, no. This is what the system is. And they need to honor it. So if they're going to give you an hour of their time, and you say for that hour of time, you get 60 points. It can't be whatever, but see, I'm an accountant, so I need to get my 150. If they are able to understand the system that equalizes everybody, then they can be part of your service group. If they can't understand that, then they cannot. So this is very simple. This is very simple. And if you're willing to try new things, you can interact and be part of service. So these are the things that we want you to consider as you are creating your service group. Now, tomorrow, we're going to introduce step 4. But of course, step 3 is very important because they need to be the kind of people that you know, like, and trust, and have the qualities that make it possible to work together, because you are creating a way of life for the future. And it will spread if you are able to demonstrate honesty, trust, and integrity with those in your service group. So, tomorrow we will talk about step 4: express your needs. What is it that you're looking for? And how do you make those transactions with those in your group that have what you need? We'll talk about that tomorrow as we continue this 5-part series on sharing Earth's resources, voluntarily implementing creative exchange service. And we want you to join us for step 4 so that you can get prepared for a different way of interacting. One of the reasons why the current monetary system is so flawed is because it's based on greed and selfishness and control of others. Service is not. Service is based on the desiring of the well-being of others and being willing to serve by what the thing that you love to do. And you will find yourself getting paid in a way that makes you enjoy what you do. This is a way of life. This is a way that planet Earth can become a place where people can get together and live together in peace because they are sharing Earth's resources, voluntarily creating, voluntarily implementing creative exchange. And that is the way of the new earth. I'm Naima Latif, and we will see you again tomorrow for part 4, which will help you in the process of beginning to live absolutely free. Part 4: express your needs. We'll see you again tomorrow for service.